Welcome to Student Connections, where students connect with their community.
Hello and welcome to Student Connections. I'm Elena Tickle, and today with me is Mrs. Kathleen Quain, who is the principal at the Morton Elementary School. Hello, Mrs. Quain.
Hi.
So how has the school year been going for you so far, and what are some of the big highlights?
The school year's been a really busy year this year. Academically, we introduced a new computer adaptive ELA program called Lexia Core 5, and the students have been very excited about this program because first of all, it's on the computer, and it's a game-based program, so it's very animated. But what it's doing is it's really helping us address some of those earliest literacy skills, those foundation skills they need to be successful readers, and it's helping catch up gaps in their education. So they're enjoying it. At the same time, it's also helping the teachers and providing the teachers important data to help them make additional instructional decisions and planning.
So does that kind of go along with March Reading Month?
You know, it doesn't necessarily tie into it, but it does help our students with March's Reading Month, which is another highlight that we're actually currently getting involved in right now. We just kicked off our March's Reading Month theme, and actually all 3 elementary schools are doing a program called One School, One Book. So we're all going to read together the book The Chocolate Touch by Kathleen. And so the students, what they do is get a little calendar for the whole month, and each day there's a chapter assignment. We have trivia questions that go along with it. They can earn prizes for that. We'll have a culminating assembly at the end of the month, probably something involving chocolate, since that goes along with the theme of our book. So all 3 buildings have been decorated and launched it off, and there's actually a website that is available, and you can get to that from the school websites, that they can go on and actually hear different teachers reading the stories too. So if a child maybe has a parent that works at night and can't read the book themselves, or kindergarten and first grade, they can actually go on the computer and hear one of the teachers read one of the chapters and follow along with them. So it's an exciting program. We've been doing it for about 4 years now, and the kids really love it.
That sounds very exciting. I personally, I remember doing the calendars with the reading and everything, and the chocolate book kind of sounds really good.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that this has been a little bit different school year for you. You brought 2 new little ones into the family. How are they doing? How's that been?
Yeah, we're adjusting. In October, I had 2 twin boys, Cameron and Evan, and we're just getting used to life and changing that up a little bit, but they're doing very well, and it was nice to be home with them for a little while, but it's also great to be back at Morton.
That's good. Each elementary school has a theme of their building. So the Morton is red carpet and Hollywood movies. Do you want to explain for us a little bit?
Sure. That's called our Positive Behavior Support Program, and we're the Morton STARS, and STARS stands for Students Taking Action to be Responsible, Respectful, and Safe. So we still have that going on. We've been doing that for about 7 years now. And then 2 years ago, we introduced an additional level to our positive behavior support called the 7 Habits, and that's based on Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And what those do is we introduce a habit each month, and they're skills that students can use for a lifetime, that people are using in the business world to help them be more successful. So each one Friday a month, we have a big rollout where we launch a habit. We actually have another one coming up this Friday. We'll launch Habit 6 to Synergize. They go to these multi-age classrooms, they learn about the habit, and then we all get together in the multi-purpose room after the instruction for our red carpet rally, and that's where we recognize students that had been role modeling those good habits previously, and so they get a Star Citizen Award, and they get to have pizza with me at a lunchtime later on in the month. And it's an exciting program, and I think it's a nice addition to our positive behavior supports.
That does sound very good too, because when you're younger, kind of having lunch with the principal is kind of a big thing. And I also understand that there were a couple new teachers to the building. How are they fitting in with the staff and students?
They're doing great. Yeah, we have, I try to make sure I remember everybody. We have a new teacher in 3rd grade, Mrs. Johnzik. We also have a new 5th grade teacher, Mrs. McDonald. And then we have 2 new cognitively impaired teachers into the building, Mrs. Agostino and Mrs. Semro. And we also have Mrs. Cody, who's a new art teacher that we share with Washington. And I believe those are all our new teaching staff, but they're fitting in very well. We are very fortunate to be able to attract such highly qualified candidates into our teaching positions.
That's very good. It's nice to hear that. And we know that testing is a very important part of education. How are the teachers doing in preparing their students for that?
Yes, we actually, in just a few short months, we have the largest test, that's data assessment, the M-STEP. And so right now that's kind of the buzz at all the buildings to prepare students for that. It's a computer adaptive test again this spring. So last year it wasn't adaptive, so it's something new we have to plan for, but we have Lexia in place. So that's been a huge help because that's also an adaptive program. So students are already comfortable working on their Chromebooks and doing assessment type activities. Teachers are also going to be working on some prototypes with them that are provided by the state, so they can see some sample questions and get used to it and feel a little more comfortable with the testing.
Seems like there's a lot going on at Morton. There's a multi-tiered system of support that's being implemented across the district. Can you tell us a little bit more about that program?
Yes, multi-tiered system of supports is basically what it sounds like. It's a tiered system approach, meaning that tier 1 is that support from the core curriculum that every student gets, and then we have tier 2 programs in place like Lexia that we put in to help support students that might not be meeting their goals at tier 1, and then tier 3 would be even more intense instruction, possibly one-on-one or very, very small group explicit instruction. It's also designed around the idea that you use data to make any kind of decision making. So the staff get together throughout the month and they look and analyze data and they use that data to determine whether or not their instruction is effective and if they need to make adjustments along the way to meet the needs of students.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Quain, for talking to us about Morton Elementary School. And we'll be right back with more news from Student Connections after this.
There are lots of unmet needs out here, and while I can't change everything, I can change some things. So I stepped up and became an American Legion Auxiliary Volunteer. For nearly 100 years, they've been helping our veterans, military, and their families here and abroad. Military deployment can be tough on a family, so we do what we can to help. And every injured and homeless veteran deserves the compassion we can give them.
Well, we are here to help.
Plus, we also have programs to teach our youth how to be good citizens and young women how to be leaders at ALA Girls State.
America.
I wanted to give back like the other 800,000 American Legion Auxiliary volunteers. There's history here. Patriotism, pride, open arms. It doesn't take much time to make a difference. Will you join me and please step up to help our country's heroes and their families? Call the number to volunteer today.
Vision loss is not something that you feel until it happens.
Most people lose their vision from diseases like macular degeneration and glaucoma, not at birth.
3 million Americans have glaucoma, and half don't even know it.
11 million people in the United States have macular degeneration.
So many eye disorders can be treated if caught early.
Make a plan today to get your eyes checked.
Visit brightfocus.org to learn more.
Hello and welcome back to Student Connections. I'm Elena Tickle and we've been talking with Mrs. Kathleen Quain from the Morton Elementary School, and she's the principal there. I can't believe that we're already starting to plan for the next school year. And I guess for the elementary schools, that begins with kindergarten roundup. Can you tell us some of the topics that will be covered during orientation?
At kindergarten orientation, that's an opportunity for parents to visit the elementary school and learn a little bit about what kindergarten looks like. And the teachers go through what their day looks like. They have a whole little presentation they put on, and it gives parents opportunities to ask those questions that they might have about preparing their child for kindergarten.
What are the dates for this year's kindergarten roundup that parents should be aware of?
We actually have 3 different roundup dates, one at each of the elementary schools. We have Washington, which is Monday, March 14th, Gardens, which is on Tuesday, March 15th, and Morton's is March 16th. And all 3 roundups start at 6:30. And we encourage parents to attend whichever roundup fits best in their schedule, regardless of which school their child might attend. It's more of an information night. It's not the actual process of it. They can do enrollment, but they can easily go to the roundup and turn their enrollment papers into their school of choice.
So in order to best understand where your students are at developmentally, what types of readiness tests are your teachers using?
What we do is after the parents attend an orientation night, they have the opportunity to sign their child up for a screening date. And we're looking primarily for whether or not they recognize letters, if they can recognize numbers, count to up to 10 or 20. Usually we stop them around 20, 25, because it's not necessary that they have to have all those skills. But what we're doing is we're looking to see where they're coming at, and that helps us determine class placements, making sure the classes are balanced. We're also looking at the child socially too. Often students can be ready academically, but if they're socially not ready, meaning they're afraid to detach from mom and dad, or they're unable to be able to sit for that 15-20 minute testing screener time, that might be an indicator that they may need something a little bit more developmentally appropriate for them, and they might not quite be ready for kindergarten.
That's a very good program to make sure your students are both academically and socially prepared. And I heard that there was something called a kindergarten day camp. What does that involve?
That involves actually bringing the child. So again, the orientation nights are designed for parents. So I know a lot of parents wonder if they should bring their child at that time, and that's not actually the time. That night is for the parents to learn more about the program. The day camp is for the students. So the students actually get to come and have a little snippet of what it might feel like to experience a snippet of what it might feel like to be in kindergarten for a day. They stay for about 2 hours. They get to do a craft. They listen to a story. They do some song and movement. They have snack, and then the parents come pick them back up, and we do a quick little overview. We give them a little packet to help them work on some skills and practice over the summer to continue to prepare them for the start of the school year.
And what should parents bring with them to the Roundup registration process?
To the Roundup, they have two choices. They can just bring themselves, and they can pick up everything they need there and get the paperwork turned in at a later time. Some parents like to pick up the packets, which are available at all 3 of the elementary schools currently, as well as online, where they can print the packet. And they could actually bring their filled out paperwork at the orientation, and we can begin to process that and begin the enrollment process. They would want to make sure if they did that they have their driver's license and 2 proofs of residency in place with them at that time as well. But either one, whatever works best. But it does help us if parents can attend the orientation and get a head start on that and not wait until August to enroll their child.
It probably makes them feel a little bit more comfortable too, knowing more about the school.
Absolutely.
But who do you think is more nervous when it comes to starting school, the parents or the children?
Definitely the parents. I think kindergarten is so different now than what it used to be, and it can be a little overwhelming at the time. So parents often have a lot of questions, and again, that's why we have things like the Roundup and the day camp and the screener testing. It's an effort to help relieve a little bit of the anxiety that parents might have about starting their child to school.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Quain, for coming in and talking to us about the great things that are happening at the Morton Elementary School. And be sure to join us again for Student Connections on M6, your hometown station.